Here. All right, thank you for joining February's Chapter Chat. We'll be talking about the financials that are important for every state. My name is Kim. I work in the Chapter Relations Department at ANFP headquarters. And today we'll be going through taxes, the chapter rebates, some fundraising ideas, and we'll end with some information about the foundation. So if you have any questions throughout, please feel free to speak up, and we'll be sure to answer your issues. All right. I don't know where my title is there, but first, tax exemptions. All chapters are tax exempt since ANFP is a nonprofit organization, and it is extremely important that each chapter files a 990 with the IRS every year. Each chapter has a separate federal tax ID number, which is known as a fine, and since every chapter has this in its own bank account, the treasurer for every state must file a 990 every year. And since the chapters don't have an office address, the treasurer's information needs to be used. At headquarters, we file a separate one, so we use our St. Charles address. So the treasurer's information will be used for each chapter. The 990 is only available on the IRS's website, and if you don't file it every year, they may send you a letter that says you have to pay a fine to become tax exempt again. So be sure you file that every year.
Our due date on that?
Our fiscal year ends May 31st, and their quirky rule is that it needs to be finished 5 months after that date. So this year it needs to be filed by October.
Thank you.
Yep. So it's actually for the previous calendar year, and after June 1, starts after the fiscal year, so between June and October, the 2012 990 needs to be filed. And we'll send reminders for that, of course. But does that make sense to everybody? It's a little weird. Any questions? Hello?
Kim, is calendar figures that they want?
Yes. Yep, it'll ask you what year you're filing for.
Not from June to May, but the actual calendar year?
Correct. Just the calendar year, just like your personal taxes, it'll be for 2012. So between June 1 and October 15th, the 990 can be filed. Just to note, districts do not have to do this since they are part of the chapter and using their federal tax ID number for any contracts or bank accounts that they would have. Any other questions about the 990? All right. All right, chapter rebates. Most of you have already received both chapter rebates for the year. We are holding some because we still need some forms from a couple chapters, but this is still important to you because we take the rebate numbers from each state's membership number on May 31st, which again is the end of our fiscal year. So if you're doing a membership drive, this may be the time you want to ramp it up for the spring meeting. But we take these numbers from the end of May and then apply them to this table, and that determines how much each state will get. Each year we divide it by 2 and issue them in July and January. They're only issued via direct deposit, so if your bank or the bank account number changes throughout the year, we need to know this so you can get your money. Any questions about chapter rebates? All right. So fundraising, once you have your rebate, how do you bring in more revenue so that you can provide more and better services to the members? First, have a purpose. If you're asking for money, members only have limited resources. So It helps to know what it'll be used for. Is there a scholarship program? Would you like to hire better speakers for the meeting? All of the fundraising should essentially go back to the members. Be sure the fundraising excess funds are relevant for the association and the industry. I know many of you do 50-50s at your meetings, and you may be doing that for the upcoming ones as well. And we also suggest maybe trying out a 50-25-25 raffle. 50% would go to the meeting attendee, 25% would go to your own chapter scholarship program, and the last 25% would go to the foundation for a national scholarship. For those selling products, are the items related to the industry association. T-shirts with the chapter names are great. A couple chapters have asked if third parties such as Mary Kay or another makeup independent seller can attend the chapter meetings, and while the chapter may be receiving a kickback, to the average meeting attendee it may seem a little unprofessional or it doesn't quite match up with why they're there for a food service workshop. The fundraising shouldn't underwrite meeting expenses. The meeting should be self-supporting or provide a little profit for the chapter. But I want to turn it to you now. Recently we received a question from a volunteer asking, with the rising cost of meetings, how do you fund them? So if anybody has any suggestions, I encourage you to go ahead and speak up. If you're on mute, you can take it off for a second. But how does your chapter fund chapter meetings?
Hi, good afternoon. This is Joe Folkowski from Jersey.
Hi, Joe.
How are you?
Good, thank you.
Good. We have a group that's called the Healthcare Group Purchasing Group that's been with us now since back in 1989 or so. That helps us out with our annual meeting, and also helps us out with members attending the meeting also. They've been supporting us after that long, and they contribute X amount of dollars to us towards our meeting, which used for the meeting and for our members also. And that would pay for our meeting and, for the meeting room, for the food and whatever else we have there. They also started something this year at our winter workshop where they sent out flyers for us to all our members stating they would give them a free admission to the workshop too also. If they would participate with their group also, in other words, see what their program is to help them out. In other words, we're networking with both associations together. And it seems to work out, for us for the long run.
Excellent. So do you plan the meetings and then
yes, we plan the meetings and everything else, and they help us out also, even help us out with speakers also. Because they deal with the industry, as far as with the food industry and all the different type of industry people also, that they get people for us that we don't even have to pay for the people, and we usually get them for free.
Great.
Joe from Washington. At our fall meetings, we do a vendor fair, and we charge the vendors for a table, and that can create a nice addition to the funds for paying for the meeting.
And how much do you charge per table?
We've only been charging $150.
Okay.
Cheap. I'm sorry to interrupt. We usually have the same thing too in the fall, and we usually charge about $350 a vendor. We get it. And we get about roughly from 25 to 30 vendors to the meeting.
What's your attendance at the meeting?
Anywhere from 80 to 125 people.
Okay, thank you.
This is Marcia from Missouri. Hello, everybody.
Hi.
We also do a vendor fair at both of our meetings. We do spring and fall meetings. And we just, at the last board meeting, we increased our $195 fee for the expo table to $225. And then if they get two or three, it gets, we give them a combination of fees, which brings it a little cheaper. But we hadn't had an increase in years, and also with our registration, because we were finding it harder and harder to cover the cost of the meeting by the $65 registration, which we have held fast with that for, 10 to 12 years, if not longer. It might have been longer. So we did up at $14, and but what we do, we utilize those funds in providing as many meals as we can for the members, so they don't have to go out and have additional meal costs for putting that money back in. We also get as much vendor support as we can if we need a speaker sponsor, or we get speakers that are no charge through universities, extensions, Homeland Security, Division of Health and Senior Services, RDs that are on staff with food vendors or through other organizations, so that's really helps us out.
This is Debbie from Texas. Hello.
Hi, Debbie.
We basically get our funding from our vendors. It's like $250 per table. We normally range from anywhere from 25 to 30 vendors. And our last meeting, Benny Keith let us use their building, so we didn't have to pay for space. And also for the spring, Benny Keith is doing the same thing. So we're letting all participants that send in registration before the deadline. The admission is free for them.
Hi, Kim, this is Dorothy from Utah.
Hi.
Hi. So, what we do is we go to, like, Cisco or U.S. Foods, and we get the speakers and do the program, and they're happy about that because then they invite all their other healthcare customers. So, because Utah is small, we would only have 20 at a meeting, so then we could have, like, 80 at a meeting, and most of them stay. And they charge the vendors, so we don't have anything to do with that. But in return, we don't charge our members, and we get about $3,000 because we get a portion of the vendor fee that they charge. And the check comes from, like, Cisco or U.S. Foods.
Wow, that's great.
Kim, this is Bruce in Wyoming.
Hi.
We don't typically do a vendor fair. In fact, it's been several years actually since we've tried that. Part of the reason being, since we're such a small state, it's hard for us to get vendors or brokers to participate. But we do get very good support from Cisco and FSA, for instance. Some support here and there, depending upon who's hosting the meeting from U.S. Foods. But we've kept our registration low at $50 for the 2.5 day meeting. We've had that for several years now. But it's also encouraged by whoever hosts the meeting that in order to cover the costs, you might need to raise that fee so that it's affordable for us to do it.
Mhm.
Hey, this is Sherry Williams. I just popped in. Sorry I'm late.
Hi, Sherry. That's okay.
If I can, a couple other things real quick on that. We don't pay for speakers typically. We have here and there, but typically we don't pay for speakers. We get speakers that donate their time. The Beef Council, the Egg Board, Cisco provides speakers, U.S. Foods, FSA, the state. So there's a lot of opportunities out there for people to get speakers without having to pay for them. And good speakers at that, especially the states. The states can't charge you anyway, so it's a good opportunity to use them and have them come and speak and help you out with that.
Great.
This is Leonard from Kansas, and we are looking at celebrating our 50th year this year, and I was asking about the fees that people charge, because right now we've never charged a vendor to set up at our shows, and most of our vendors will provide all the food and part of the speakers for us. It's just we're going to be at a hotel, and we go over we'll probably go over the cost of what it normally runs for our meetings. We have around an average of 120 at a meeting, So, I was just trying to get some ideas of what other states are charging. We charge our members $65 with a $10 coupon from each meeting to take off of the meeting, the next meeting, which usually works out pretty well. But I was just trying to get some ideas of how they go about with the vendors, because we don't want to ruin our, the vendors, you know, by charging too much. And I've gone online and saw a couple of what they do charge. But the one thing we did do that is helping a little bit is that we always had raffle baskets that we used to give away free, and now we have people buy tickets for that have generated as much as $800 a meeting, because we have 25 raffle baskets from the different districts in the hosting district. So this has helped quite a bit, just hearing what other people are doing.
This is Ruth Ashley from Alabama. And on our spring meeting, we come together with the dietitian and food nutrition, and we have an expo board. And we charge the vendors to set up between $400, but we usually have about between 80 to 100 vendors, and we usually get a percentage of that breakdown between the three groups. Speakers, we don't pay our speakers. The only thing we do is we buy speaker gifts for all our speakers. And their registration also cover them breakfast while they're there, and also lunch. And then on the last day when they go through the expo, that'll be their lunch.
Now, I did want to ask.
Go ahead, Leonard.
I just wanted to ask the people that say that they get a percentage, who does this percentage go to, the rest of the charge? Is it a company that sets this up for you, or?
Yeah, it's a company.
Ours, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, this is Kathy from Utah. Hi. I was just going to add to what Dorothy said. We share ours with the food service that we go with, like Cisco. They share the vendor revenue with us, and in turn, they give us the free meeting space. And we also have never paid our speakers, and we get really good speakers from the state or from vendors that we have, or just people around the community that have offered to come speak. And we've been told that our speakers are just every good as ones that people pay a lot of money for. So that makes us feel good that we don't have to charge our members.
Hey, this is Sherry up in Fayetteville, Arkansas. And we do our spring meeting is coming up, and we do a little mini expo that we don't charge vendors for, but then in the fall, we have a big fall stake meeting. They pay $275 a booth, and monies from that go to our organization for the state, and then we charge our members, it's $85 for both days, and so, but all of that includes all of their, food and beverage. So, I mean, I think it's kind of cool to do it that way, and we don't pay our speakers either, but we do gifts for them, so very similar to everybody else.
Yeah, this is Ken from Iowa. We do a vendor show in the spring, and we do charge the vendors for that. We do get a lot of free speakers, both from our vendors or other associations for free, and don't forget to contact universities if you have them close. They quite often have speakers as well for free. And we also minimize some of our meeting costs by asking vendors to sponsor the meal or snack breaks. And as well, if you want to minimize some of your costs, we sometimes ask our vendors to provide meeting folders or bags and pens for our members, and occasionally we'll ask a vendor if they will allow us, or if they will do our printing for us for any speaker handouts and things like that. And the other thing that I think other people haven't mentioned is we actually sell advertising in our newsletter. We get vendors to pay for our for advertising in our newsletters, which actually usually covers the printing and mailing cost.
Tim, while you're unmuted, I know at the spring meeting you're having a cookie decorating contest. Is that a fundraiser?
It's not currently.
Okay.
There's some prizes, but we do regularly have raffles at our meetings that support our scholarships for students as well as attendance at national meetings.
Good.
This is Barbara from Iowa, and the cookie thing kind of just get them up and get them moving. And like Ken said, you know, we have our members bring in baskets, and their creativity is awesome. And people, you know, buy the tickets, and we actually do a gas card, or this time we're doing a gift card to one of the big Hy-Vee grocery chains for $50, and we sell tickets at a higher price for the gift card. And one of the sponsors has donated, or one of our vendors has donated an autographed football for Kansas City's Chiefs, so we're going to raffle that off as well. So we kind of try to have lots of things to raffle, keep things moving, and the money usually from the raffle goes to support sending our board members to the annual meeting.
Awesome. Thanks, Barb. Just to remind you, if you'll have noise on your end, you could take your mouse, place it over the right side of the screen, and there should be a little microphone with a flash through it, and that will mute your side. And if you want to join back in and contribute to the discussion, you can click it again, so it's not red anymore.
Joe from Washington again. I'd like to ask a kind of a related question. Not really the meeting expenses, but oftentimes we try to cover the cost for the board members attending. And, you know, if you have 6 board members and it's a 2-night hotel and a registration, your yearly rebate is gobbled up in a second. Do other chapters do the same thing?
We usually split, we don't usually pay full for everything. Like the president will go full, and then you go down the line half and 3/4 and stuff like that. That's how we usually do it in Jersey.
Who's that?
In Jersey, what we do is we split it up. The president would pay full, secretary, treasurer, either half or 3/4, and you work your way down that way. That's how we usually do it, go to national. Instead of paying the full cost for it. We also have, scholarship on our own thing too that we pay for people.
This is Iowa. We send the president-elect, spokesperson every year, and then we have a 2-year term for secretary and treasurer, and they alternate. So when they're in their second term, they get to go. So every other year we'll have the treasurer or the secretary along. And like I said, we use our raffle basket funds to support sending those board members. And we use that as a perk recruiting when we need people to step up and volunteer to serve.
Well, there's no real rule as to what should be done?
It's up to each chapter.
Up to each chapter, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, this is Marcia from Missouri. We have been able to fund our officers, the president-elect, secretary, treasurer, and then our legislative person. But if those funds, we review it before it's time to do registration to the national conference, and if the funds are available, that's how we have it in our bylaws. Because if there was at one point when we were able only to send the president and fund them, but it really amounts to if the funds are available. But we pay the president's total way if they receive the City Achievement Award, And then there's $400 to the other officers if, as I said, the funds are available. Yeah, I think it really has to be determined, you know, by your state itself, and again, looking at what you have available and what your how your fundraising goes towards making funds to go, because there might be a time that the money would not be available.
Maryland does a set amount for each officer that's going, president, president-elect, secretary, treasurer, and spokesperson. And then if the president-elect goes to the special training, they get an additional fee. And then twice a year, we provide a meal for officers and committee people, and the fundraisers pays for that, like a Christmas banquet and a summer picnic.
Right, do we have any other comments on the meetings or fundraising? Feel free to speak up, otherwise I can take over again. I love this conversation.
I just have one more question about the IRS thing. This is Rayanne from Washington. So if I did the lower amount one, the $990 that I filed, is that the only thing I have to do, or is there more after that?
That is it. So when you go to the IRS website, it will take you to.
I did the $990 in actually the postcard thing.
Yep, that's all you have to do, and you will, after completing it, you'll receive an e-receipt from the IRS. We just ask that you forward it to us so that we know it's completed and you are still officially a part of ANFP.
Okay.
Good question. Any others? All right. So if you find yourself with excess funds, we encourage you to donate to the foundation. This is the charitable arm of ANFP. Your donations are tax deductible and will help students become CDMs and build leaders at educational events. If you're interested, you can go to the website listed here, nsefoundation.org, and you can either donate or buy a brick, and the bricks are installed about every 6 months in front of ANFP headquarters. So if you want a lasting legacy, the brick is the way to go.
You can put your chapter name on those bricks too?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Many chapters have already bought a brick, and there are limited amounts of space depending on which size brick you get, but you can write anything you want, anything that represents your chapter, or you can do it individually as well. All right, resources. Finances can seem intimidating, but are really important, so we encourage you to make it a team effort and ask current and past volunteers if you have any questions or need help with anything. Our website, ANFP Online, is a good resource for you, especially under the member login. Volunteer Resources has the volunteer manual as well as the how-to section. We also encourage you to look on the internet. Fundraising is a huge topic with nonprofits, so Google, YouTube, a few other nonprofit sites like GuideStar might be able to help you brainstorm as well. And of course, there's us at ANFP headquarters. We are certainly always available to help you if you need to brainstorm or just have any questions. We're here for you. So any questions or comments before we log off?
Hey, Kim?
Yep.
Kim?
I'm sorry?
This is Sherry. I just wanted to ask something.
Go ahead.
If you don't mind, I'm just going to make a plug for myself because I'm on the election ballot for a director at large. So any of you guys that know my name, if you want to vote for me, I would appreciate it.
Sure. So Arkansas, anyone else?
Ken Hansen, I'm running for chair-elect, so I would appreciate any votes as well.
What was your name again?
Ken Hansen for chair-elect for Iowa.
Okay. Anyone else on the
Appreciate
board?
it, guys.
Kansas has Janice Hamill running for treasurer, if I'm right.
All right, last call. Okay. Thank you so much for joining today. This conversation was awesome. We have a few regional meetings coming up, so we will see you there if you are attending any of those locations. Registration is open for these regional meetings and also for National Leadership Conference if you're joining us again this summer. Last week I sent out a reminder for the third part of the State Achievement Awards. This year there are only 4 parts, so we're almost there. March 1 is the next deadline. And if you want to save the date for the next chapter's pass, it will be partnering with vendors, which we talked a lot about today already, but that will be March 20th. So we look forward to seeing you there. Any questions before we go?
Hey, Kim, this is Bruce. Are there going to be any changes on the State Achievement Award coming up for the next year?
We have not reevaluated it. I don't anticipate many at all, but there could be.
Okay, the reason I ask is, as you know, we made a change a year ago to change our year from September, October for a year, and we now start our year in May when our new officers are installed. So I was just kind of wondering, as we do our planning process, if there's going to be any changes in that would, be a great difference in how we do our planning.
Okay. The questions will most likely stay the same for the most part, but I'm not sure about the dates yet because in 2014, the National Leadership Conference will be in June. So we want to make sure we have enough time to plan and get everything ready for the big meeting. So the dates may be pushed up, but it won't be huge. And we'll certainly inform you of that when we decide.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Yep.
Kim, where is the meeting in the 14th?
It is in Minneapolis.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So Savannah.
Where was that again? You cut out a little bit.
Oh, 2014 is Minneapolis. 2015 is Orlando.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
No problem. Any other comments or questions? All right. Thanks, everyone. You know I'm available at the 800 number if you want to give me a call afterwards or send me an email. And talk to you next time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.